Tom Harwood. Tom, what is happening in the world of politics with all of this today?
Yes, it is quite extraordinary. What was an incredibly busy world in politics, one that was discussing all sorts of issues facing the nation, one that had pretty heated debates about the future of the country, now seems to be in a state of suspended animation. Parties have suspended active campaigning. There's a big question mark over whether or not party conferences will go ahead at the end of this month, or whether they'll go ahead in a slightly different way than was thought before. And of course, the news, as it became to be wondered about yesterday afternoon, came as there was a pretty seismic debate in Parliament over the future of the nation's energy bills. The most extraordinary passing of notes, party leaders popping in and out of the chamber, and then Sir Lindsay Hoyle making a statement to Parliament acknowledging that the Queen was ill at that stage. Things seemed to really take a very sombre turn from that point, an eerie atmosphere across Westminster. And then for only the second time in a couple of days of her premiership, Prime Minister Liz Truss stepping out to this street at around 7 p.m. last night to give her tribute to the remarkable reign of Queen Elizabeth II. This will not be the last tribute we hear from Liz Truss, or indeed many people in politics. From noon today, the Parliament is sitting in order to allow politicians to speak of their memories of their time with the late Queen, and we will see further action in Westminster as the days go on. It's expected that the Queen's body will lie in state in Westminster Hall, and that will take place next week, first for senior politicians to pay their respects, and then for the public to pay their respects too. It feels like normal politics is on hold. The flags are at half-mast, and for only the 6th or 7th time in the history of the House of Commons, there will be a Saturday sitting tomorrow so that members of Parliament can continue to pay their own personal tributes and reflect the feelings of their constituents in honouring the remarkable legacy of our late Queen.
You can't help but wonder how Liz Truss feels, because she's really the last. I mean, she was the last of the Queen's ceremonies, wasn't she? She was the last thing publicly the Queen did at all.
She was, and it is remarkable to look at those photographs of that audience. As recently as Tuesday, the Queen looking, yes, old, some might say frail, but full of life, and with that remarkable smile on her face too. It looked like she was ready to perform so much more duty for this country, because that is the word that has so much defined her life, that remarkable and stoic duty that she performed right to the end. Yes, her last public duty, appointing our new Prime Minister, her 15th in a remarkable line of Prime Ministers. Her first, of course, Sir Winston Churchill, her last Liz Truss. 101 years separate the birth of Winston Churchill and Liz Truss. The most remarkable fact, this is a reign that really spanned its reach from the Victorian era through that connection to Winston Churchill right through to the 2020s. It's the most remarkable thing to think about. But, of course, a new era has begun. As Liz Truss said last night, this has drawn our second Elizabethan age to a close, and we now have King Charles III. That's a name that Liz Truss first used on the steps of Downing Street last night, and was since confirmed by Clarence House that the new king is known as Charles III, and he will be having an audience with the Prime Minister later today when he arrives in London. They did speak last night before the Prime Minister's statement, and the Prime Minister did learn of the death of Elizabeth II before the country. But this is the way that things now go. We have a king, and that will pursue with appointing the new Privy Council, all of those cabinet appointments that we have seen, of course appointed in the name of the monarch. Those will now join the Privy Council of Charles III.